Hi guys, welcome to Easy Tutor, and in this video we'll be writing our first program in C. Now before we start writing our program, let us ensure whether we have the proper environment to write programs using C. Now C is a compiled language, that is you have to write a source code in a file, compile it, which basically converts the source code into the machine understandable language. That is done by the compiler. So the compiler for C is termed as GCC, or it is the GCC compiler which compiles all the C programs. Now if you are using a Unix based system like Ubuntu, Debian, Kali Linux, etc., you need not install anything because GCC comes inbuilt in all these operating systems. Now, if you are using Windows, which majority of the users are using, then GCC has to be explicitly installed. And for that, I have included a link in my description which shows you how to install this GCC on Windows. To ensure if GCC is installed properly, just type GCC in the command line or in the terminal in case of Linux or any Unix based operating system and press enter. So you get a known error. That is, this error is generated by GCC telling that fatal error. There are no input files. So it's telling that basically that there are no input files for me to compile. If you get an error like unrecognized error, that is something to worry about because you don't have GCC installed in your system. Well, now in my case, the GCC is installed, and let's dive into our first program, the Hello World program. So for that, I have created a file called hello with an extension .c, and you can see that the type is a C file. So any of the C source file ends with an extension .c. Coming to our program, now in C programming language, the hash include basically refers or is analogous to the import in Python and Java. That is, you're importing some files, some library files into your regular development environment. And this name in the angular brackets will tell which specific library to import. Now, what is this stdio? It is nothing but standard input output. Now, obviously, if we are writing programs, we need input and output. Input taking from the keyboard and output generated on the screen or on the terminal, right? So we need this library file which has the machine level implementation of taking input and generating output to the screen. So we import this file called stdio, and all library files are called as header files in C, and they end with an extension .h. Now they are written in which language, we don't know. It is an abstraction, but it has an implementation of taking user input and generating output. And in this library comes the function called main. And most of you might know, but still my assumption that you don't know, main is the function from where the program execution starts. Imagine you have a code here on line 2 or after the line 7, line 8, 9, 10, etc. Nowhere. The program execution starts from the main function itself. And now here we have termed the function as int. That means we are telling that this function returns an integer. If you do not want to return anything, you can just write void. But most of the programmers prefer writing int, even though if you are not explicitly returning anything or have anything to return. So this is the main function. Unless you import this library, this main function won't work because the implementation of main function is present in the stdio.h file. Now to print something, we use the printf statement, which is printf for function, printf, and then within the brackets we have a string, a statement to print, that is hello space world, and then you have a character which is \n. It is called as an escape character used to tell the compiler that after printing hello world, add a new line, a separate line. Don't end just there after hello world, add a new line. And these are closed by the double quotes and the bracket closed, and we are adding the semicolon. And in C programming, every simple statement is ended with a semicolon, not the compound statement. And then you have the return. Since it is an integer, we are returning the zero value, zero integer. So this is our first program, that is the Hello World program in C. Now coming to how we compile and generate our output. To compile, it's very simple. You type gcc space the file name, in our case it is hello.c, and you must be in the directory where you have the source file. As you can see, ctutor is my directory, and here you have the file ctutor in local disk T. So you have gcc hello.c, that's all. You press enter, and if you don't have any errors, it will get compiled successfully without any errors. Now, to generate the output, to execute the file, you can see that Windows has created a compiled file a.exe, which has the machine code in it. And if you are a regular Windows user, you have seen .exe as application, as game, as many other software. So .exe, it's a similar application. You have a.exe, which has the machine implementation for Windows. In the case of Linux or Unix based system, it will be a.out. This is the default object file. We call it as object file, which has the machine code in it. In Linux, it is a.out file, which the GCC compiler generates. So to execute in Windows, you just press A, because it is a.exe. Windows understands it as an executable one, a.exe. But in case of Linux, you have to type /, which means that the present directory a.out, and press enter. In our case, it gives an error. There is no a.out, so it says unrecognized. In Windows, you just type A and press enter, and here you have the output of our program, Hello World. So imagine there are several other files here in this directory, and you want to have, and you compile it. Every time you compile, it is the default file a.exe, which is generated by the GCC compiler. So if you have to have a separate name, a meaningful name, there is another command which we'll discuss later in our videos. You have a separate command to name the files as you wish, not just the a.exe or a.out. So that was our first program in C. Hope you guys understood. If there are any doubts, let me know in the comment section. Thank you.